No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of WWE NXT's Stand and Deliver 2024, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. According to WWE, the largest attendance ever for an NXT event. They claimed over 16,000 people. There were a lot of people for this show, no doubt. NXT doing very well. Let's get to this recap. It's early, which I appreciate, but we still have WrestleMania. It is WrestleMania Saturday. I was on very late, 1 o'clock a.m. to discuss the Hall of Fame. Check that out if you missed it. And then after this, we got WrestleMania. This was in between those events, and there's a lot going on. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Now, let's talk about this show. We had our kickoff match, which was Joe Gacy versus Shawn Spears. It was a solid kickoff match. Joe Gacy was selling his back. Spears was targeting the back. And then Gacy hit a springboard moonsault. Spears kicked out of that. They fought on the outside of the ring for a while. Spears slammed Gacy back first into the apron. They got back into the ring. Gacy hit a Uranagi. Spears kicked out. And then Gacy missed a swanton. Spears busted out a pedigree. Gacy kicked out of that, though. And then Gacy avoided the C4 and picked up the victory with a handspring lariat. Basic match here. I'm a little surprised Spears lost so quickly after coming back. Now, Gacy won despite being attacked by Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland attacked him with a steel chair before the match even began, and that's why Gacy's back was messed up during the match. Of course, Ridge Holland still around. The whole retirement deal from the other week was, in fact, a storyline playing up on the unfortunate injury that happened to Big E, and then they turned that into a storyline. But yeah, Ridge Holland's still around, and we'll see what happens next in this feud between Joe Gacy and Ridge Holland. Chat room, let me know your thoughts on the matches as we go through them. Leave your comments in the chat room. We had our first match, Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin, the Wolf Dogs, defending the tag team titles against Axiom and Nathan Frazer. Now, to me, there was no realistic chance of new champions being crowned unless we had some sort of significant turn of events, like one person turned on another person or somebody interfered. As far as the totem pole goes, Baron Corbin, obviously established main roster star. Bron Breakker is being groomed to be the next big thing in WWE. And they're going up against essentially two cruiserweights. But it was a good match. Entertaining match with these two teams. Bron Breakker can run the ropes very fast. He made the ring shake at one point. The challengers did get in quite a bit of offense. Axiom took down Breakker with a Spanish fly, tagged in Frazer. Frazer used his speed, and then things broke down. All four men in the ring. There were several near falls on both sides. Axiom delivered an avalanche Spanish fly to Bron Breakker. And then Frazer came off the top with a 450 splash. But, of course, Bron Breakker able to kick out. Then Baron Corbin came off the top rope. Baron Corbin doesn't get off his feet too often. We saw Bron Breakker doing all sorts of crazy stuff, but Baron Corbin is more grounded. Corbin came off the top with a splash. Frazer kicked out, and then Breakker was on the outside of the ring, went for a spear, but missed, hit the steel steps, and then back in the ring, Frazer took down Corbin with a Phoenix splash. Breakker broke up the pin, and then Breakker took out Frazer with a spear, and then Corbin scored the 1-2-3 victory. Very solid opening match here. I'm not sure when the champs are going to drop the titles, but I figured it would be a more notable team. We'll see. Bron Breakker is part of SmackDown now, and I expect him to be a regular in the coming weeks. Shout out to Gareth Smith, who sent in a €10 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thumbs up to you. And because of the time, Gareth able to tune in live, which I appreciate, says, nice to catch a live stream again. NXT was a decent show. Triple Threat was match of the night. Looking forward to WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes finishing the story. All right, let's get to the Triple Threat match. Oba Femi defending the North American Championship against Dijak and Josh Briggs. This match was fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you're going to watch any match from this show, this is the one that I would say go out of your way to watch if you did not see it. Three bigger guys having a fantastic match. Lots of athleticism, hard-hitting action with these three guys. Never a dull moment either. Like sometimes triple threat matches can get a little boring when it's just two guys and one guy's on the outside, but they kept it interesting. I thought the pacing was well done, and all the spots they did looked really good. Lots of action, lots of meat in this match. Dijak has definitely rebounded big time after the whole T-bar fiasco in WWE on the main roster. Hopefully he gets another shot at some point. And Baron Corbin too. They've done a good job rehabbing Corbin as well. After years of bad gimmicks, at least Corbin seems to be finding himself again and building up some momentum. So you had Dijak and Briggs, and this was a standout match for Briggs too, who's not really been in too many high-profile matches. So this was a big one for him. You had Dijak and Briggs trying to double team Oba, and he was a beast here. Like he was fighting them off. And we had lots of big moves in this match. Canadian Destroyer, and they did a really crazy spot in this match where Dijak was in the corner with Briggs and he had him up on his shoulders, and then Oba came over and hoisted up both guys at the same time and dropped them to the mat. It was really cool. Really showed off Oba's power. The crowd was going nuts for this, chanting, "This is awesome." They were fighting on the outside of the ring. They did a spot with one of the announcer chairs. Oba was put in the chair. He was super kicked into the chair, and then Dijak climbed up to the top, but Briggs caught him, and then Briggs tossed Dijak off the top all the way down onto Oba, who was sitting in the chair. Great stuff here. And then back in the ring later on in the match, Dijak hit the Feast Your Eyes to Oba, but Briggs pulled out the referee. Crowd was chanting bullshit. And then Dijak came over the top rope with a dive. Dijak was doing all sorts of things in this match. He was not holding back. Mr. NXT is Dijak tonight, at least. And then Dijak sent Oba through the barricade, hit the Feast Your Eyes to Briggs on the outside, got Briggs back in the ring, hit yet another Feast Your Eyes. However, Oba then came in and grabbed Dijak by the throat, picked him up, powerbombed him onto Briggs, and then pinned Briggs to retain his championship. All three guys looked great here. Oba, dominant champion. Dijak had a great performance as the veteran of the three. And Briggs got a standout moment too. Everybody got elevated from this match. So major thumbs up. Well done from everybody involved. This was a high quality match. You should absolutely check out if you missed it. Next up, we had a 6-woman match, which, given that I haven't really been following NXT much, I watch the premium live events, I occasionally watch YouTube clips. I really had no interest in this one whatsoever. It was Thea Hale, Kelani Jordan, and Fallon Henley against Jacy, Jayne, Kiana James, and Izzi Dame. I've never liked the Chase U gimmick. I think it's at best opening match comedy on the WWE main roster if any of them get called up. Like, I just feel it has a very low ceiling, this whole Chase U thing, and then the skits they were doing backstage. I've just never been a fan. Like, I think it's a little too cheesy. Maybe it has some comedic value, but I do think of the 6 women here, Jacy Jayne was part of Toxic Attraction. She's got a little bit of potential. I think Thea, of all of them, has by far the biggest upside. As Matthew points out, a lot of energy, a lot of personality. She's just a natural at wrestling. She has that personality and drive. But the rest of them don't stand out to me at all. Like, all of them to me are interchangeable. Just my take on it as somebody who doesn't watch the NXT television on a regular basis. But anyways, it was a solid match. I didn't think it was outstanding or anything. It was fine. It could have been the main event of an NXT TV episode. The storyline here, I guess, was Thea was trying to get some revenge on Jacy Jayne, and she ultimately did. And Izzi, who is one of the newcomers, she ended up taking the fall here. Thea tapped her out with the Chimera lock. And it was fine for what it was, but I really don't have too much to say about it. We then had another women's match. We had the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez for the Women's Championship. And a couple notes here before we get to the match. We had the announcement from Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter, that there will be an NXT Women's North American Championship, which people are excited for it, but there's just too many titles. I know it's all about equality, giving the women more to fight for, but man, there's just so many titles to keep track of between NXT and then the WWE main roster. And then if you follow other companies, if you follow AEW, it's a little overkill. Now, the other piece of news here is over the years, we've seen segments at takeover events where a newcomer, free agent, would be seen in the crowd. And we got that back for this show. International wrestling star Julia, who has been wrestling in Stardom and other promotions, she was in attendance with William Regal. Crowd popped for her, and the internet is very much into her. Full disclosure, I have never seen her wrestle, so I don't know anything about her really, but there's a lot of buzz about her. A lot of people seem high on her, so I'll take their word for it. A lot of people consider her to be the best women's wrestler that up until now wasn't signed to WWE or AEW. And she did the photo with Triple H. Triple H shook her hand. So looks like they have some big things for her. They had her out here for the women's title match, and now we got a new women's championship being introduced. Women's division doing pretty good in NXT. You got some hope here. Roxanne has built up a lot of momentum. She recently turned heel, and this was a good match, good championship match here with these two. Lyra was not 100% in this. She had her shoulder taped up, her arm was hurting, and of course, Roxanne, the heel, was exploiting it, targeting it. She took down Lyra with a tornado DDT on the floor, got her back in the ring, hit the pop rocks. Lyra kicked out of that. And then we had Tatum Paxley show up, and I don't really know much about her either. And she's been in NXT for a little bit, but she was out there trying to help out Lyra, and that ended up backfiring. Roxanne ended up throwing Lyra into Tatum, and then got Lyra back into the ring, applied a crossface. Lyra countered that. They traded near falls back and forth. And then Roxanne countered Lyra with a poison rana, hit another pop rocks, and then reapplied the crossface. Lyra tried to get to the rope, but she could not do it. She tapped out. Roxanne, your new NXT Women's Champion, two-time Women's Champion. And yeah, WWE's very high on her. And so far, the heel turn is working out for her. She's got the title again. And just like Bron Breakker was, a cookie cutter baby face. They turned him, and that allowed him to explore his character and do some other things with the character. So that's what they're doing with Roxanne, turning her heel, exploring the possibilities of her as a heel. And I think it'll be good for her in the long run to be able to play both roles. So she's going down a good path. She's got a bright future ahead. And yeah, solid match. Next up, we had Ilja Dragunov defending the NXT Championship, not the main event, going up against Tony D'Angelo. I liked D'Angelo's entrance. They had a video of The Sopranos, but instead of New Jersey, all the locations in Philadelphia, the Sopranos opening video, but with Philadelphia landmarks. I thought that was pretty cool as a Sopranos fan. Another good match here. Now, I will say this was probably the weakest of the Dragunov title matches since he's become champion that I've seen, at least. It was very good, but I feel like it came a little bit short of next level. And I don't think it was at the level of the triple threat match. So in that sense, I was a little underwhelmed by it, but I still think it was a very good match. Evenly matched. D'Angelo got in plenty of offense. Dragunov's fingers were hurting. His hand was taped up. The only thing that I also disliked here, besides that it had to follow the triple threat, they had done the deal in the women's title match where Lyra was hurting and, she was selling the injury and she was not 100%. And they were doing the same thing here. They were acknowledging it on commentary, but I really don't like seeing the basic story here just repeated back-to-back matches. I would have rather they had some kind of other story here for this. It was still a good match. You had Stacks out there. So Stacks was trying to get D'Angelo to cheat, trying to give him the brass knuckles. And D'Angelo did not want to take the shortcut. And later on, you had Dragunov basically daring Stacks to do something. And D'Angelo got back into it. He hit a really cool avalanche overhead suplex that sent Dragunov so far, he just basically rolled out of the ring. He got hit so hard and thrown such a distance across the ring. He just went right to the outside, and they brawled on the outside. And then Dragunov ended up putting D'Angelo through the table with the H-bomb, got him back in the ring. Dragunov came off the top rope, going for a missile drop kick, but D'Angelo countered it with a power bomb. D'Angelo tried to finish off Dragunov, but was unsuccessful, and then Dragunov picked up the win with an avalanche H-bomb. Dragunov still champion. No real surprise here. Dragunov can be on the main roster at any time, but I think that they're going to wait a little bit longer before crowning a new champion. And that's fine too. You know, you got Breaker, you got to focus on him, Carmelo, and a couple others you're working on right now to establish them on the main roster. So maybe 6 months, Dragunov gets to the main roster. It's just a matter of who beats him. Who do you guys think that's going to be? Leave a comment. Let me know. All right. And by the way, they shook hands after the match. Sportsmanship. There you go. Main event was Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. As I've said before, Trick Williams has a huge upside. Great personality. Love his entrance. Whoop that trick. Crowd was loving it. And this was a grudge match, so it got put in the main event spot. Referee was letting them get away with things. They were brawling in the crowd, fighting all over the arena. They came back to ringside. Hayes tried several times to put away Williams, came off the top with a frog splash, code breaker. Williams kept kicking out. And then we got the ref bump. Referee got knocked down, and Hayes tried to cheat. He grabbed the steel chair. Williams took it from him. Williams started hitting Hayes with the chair, but then the referee got up, took the chair away from Williams. Hayes hit a low blow while the referee was getting rid of the chair, and then the referee came back over. Referee got knocked out of the ring again. Hayes came off the top with the nothing but net, the scissor kick, and then a second referee ran down. Williams was able to kick out. Hayes tried to use the chair again. Referee took it from Hayes, and then Williams took advantage, took out Hayes with the trick knee, and got the 1-2-3 victory to what I think is the blow-off of this storyline. Carmelo, basically part of the main roster now, and I think this was the end of Carmelo in NXT. I would be surprised if he stays in NXT. What else does he do at this point? And Trick, I could see Trick being the guy that dethrones Dragunov. If I had to make a prediction right now, Trick is really popular, and they could try to fast track him to the main roster, but I don't think they should. I think, he could benefit from another year or so in NXT. Give him another year. Give him a run with the title. There's plenty of time with Trick Williams. And shout out to Jeff. Make sure you guys, if you're interested in watch-alongs, check out Jeff's watch-along over on the Jeff Meacham Network YouTube channel. Shout out to Jeff. I think Trick will be in NXT for a while. I think he's going to be the next world champion. He'll be the one to dethrone Dragunov. This was a very good match, but again, I don't think it was as good as the triple threat. I think the best match of the show was that triple threat. I was blown away by how good that triple threat was. Like I could not take my eyes away from the TV. Like they had me invested. And the main event was very good. The world title match was very good, but I feel like they were just a little short of next level. But still, overall, another entertaining NXT show. I give it a solid B. I say this every time, and I will continue to say it. I still don't think they're at the level of the classic takeovers, but still enjoyable show. And you got several people that have bright futures here. Trick Williams, you got Dragunov, who will be a big star in the main roster. It's just a matter of when. You got Roxanne, who will eventually be a big star in the main roster. And They got a lot of people they can rely on if needed. The future is looking good, and this was a fun show. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and consider subscribing at nodq.com/YouTube and follow NoDQ on the social media outlets. I'll be back later. We got more. We got WrestleMania 40. Check out the predictions videos if you haven't watched them yet. You still got a few hours left if you're watching this live. And I hope you enjoy the coverage of WrestleMania. I'll be back after WrestleMania Saturday wraps up right here on the channel. Take care, everybody. I'll see you then. Buy a shirt, nodq.com/merch, and I will see you all next time.